Good morning, class. Today's class we're going to talk about passive voice. Why do we use passive voice? To be a little bit more polite. Passive voice is used when the focus is on the action. It is not important or not known, however, who or what is performing the action. Example, my bike was stolen. In the example above, the focus is not on the fact that my bike was stolen. I do not know, however, who did it. Let's start out simple. We're going to see various examples. Verbs that we often use in passive voice. Let's look at some examples. Manufacture, invent, publish. What kind of things do we manufacture? We manufacture motorcycles. What kind of things do we invent? We invent machines. What do we publish? We publish magazines. Let's take a look at an example of one of these verbs in passive voice. The motorcycle was manufactured by Yamaha. La motocicleta fue hecha por Yamaha. Direct, films. Build and make. What kind of things do we direct? Films. What kind of things do we build? Products. What kind of things do we make? Movies. Let's look at an example of one of the verbs. The movie was directed by James Cameron. The product was built by. The movie was made by. Other examples. Next verbs, paint, write, and grow. What kind of things do we paint? We paint landscapes. What kind of things do we write? Write letters, and we grow crops. For example, rice and tomatoes. Let's look at an example. The book was written by James Verne. To be past participle is the basic structure of the passive voice. We always need the verb to be, and we always need the past participle of the verb. Here are two examples of the verb to be. I am, you are, he is, she is, it is, we are, they are, in present tense. In past tense, I was, you were, he was, it was, we were, they were. And the past participle of the verb, taken. What is the past participle? The third one. So, for example, in present, take. Past tense, took. Past participle, taken. Very good. One more time. Taken, used, and gone. Creating the passive voice is a little bit more interesting. Examples. First example we see, we are more interested in James Bond. Very clear in the active voice, we are more interested in James Bond. Examples. James Bond used this car. In the passive voice, we are more interested in the car. In the active voice, we are more interested in James Bond. The verb continues to be the same. Examples. James Bond, we move to the end of the sentence, by the agent. This car, we move to the beginning of the sentence. This car converts into that subject. And the example is, this car was used by James Bond. Here are a couple more tips in Spanish to help you out. The basic verb structure is the subject, the auxiliary verb D plus be, in the case of, for example, future, and the past participle. First example we see, the speech is written for the president. If you notice, written is the past participle, is the verb to be, the subject that used to be the subject that used to be the object of the other sentence. The house was built in 1975. My wallet has been stolen. The room will be cleaned while we were out. Each one with its own definition. To transform them, it's very necessary to look at these 4 quick steps. All of them are in Spanish. Mainly talks about having passive, switching from passive to active, the use of the be, the use of the by, and the complement. So, the basic structure we need. Remember always to use the past participle and look at the tips. And remember to always pay attention to these tips. Let's look at them. Active voice, the lady buys a new hat. In Spanish, la dama compra un sombrero nuevo. The verb comprar falls under la dama, and this indicates that the dama is the one who makes the action. In the passive voice is a little different. With passive voice, a new hat is bought by the lady. If you notice, the object of active goes to the subject of passive. Let's make a negative one. It is held. We're going to put is in negative, so it isn't held. They are being kept. They aren't being kept. It has been caused. It hasn't been caused. It was hit. It wasn't hit. Let's look at the verb tenses a little bit better. I want you to study this graph. Today, we're only going to look at the first two. Present simple and past simple. My brother studies the lesson. The lesson is studied by my brother. In pasado simple, my brother studied the lesson. The lesson was studied by my brother. This chart should help you work with the verb tenses. Other models can be used as well. For example, could, must, could be made homeless. By we use at the end of the sentence to talk about the agent or the subject that we used to have in the active. You have to be very careful. We're only supposed to use the by when the subject in the first sentence is important. We do not use it when it's clear context. For example, 10 people were arrested. It's very obvious by the police. In this situation, by the police is not necessary. Let's practice. The earth is hit or hits by lightning 8.6 million times a day. Scientists say that there is a 1 in 3 million chance you will hit or will be hit by lightning. But that depends on how long you are spent outdoors. The first example is hit. This is a perfect example of the hit, past participle, and the verb to be. Will be hit is an example of be in future, using as well the past participle. And spent, past tense. Let's practice to make a couple of questions. The basic rules is the question word to be the subject and past participle. Let's look at this example. Compare the following two sentences. The church was built in 1945. Statement. The question, when was the church built? This question incorporates the verb to be with was and the past participle of the verb built.